What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's video, we're going to jump into the Week 16 matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants. I've tried to remain positive on this channel throughout this season, but obviously it's been pretty difficult, and I think a lot of Giants fans have, hit rock bottom throughout how this entire season has progressed, and the inevitable fallout of this will be substantial. So at the end of the season, we'll do a monster recap on all of the position groups, the moves that we made that, some were successful, most of them failed. And we'll talk about the future of the franchise. But in today's video, I do actually just want to give one quick reminder. I did drop a video yesterday that was more very different and out of my normal wheelhouse for the videos that are on this channel. I do want to apologize because I used my GoPro that is about a decade old to film the video portion of the intro and conclusion. Everything else in the middle is totally fine, but the intro and outro didn't really record as strongly as I would have liked from a performance standpoint. So if you get through that, hope you enjoy the video. It talks about the Giants, past, present, and future in the terms of A Christmas Carol. So we made some comparisons between the two. It's the holiday season. Figure we change it up and go with something else different there. Hasn't been so successful so far in the 24 hours since it dropped, but hey, give it a shot. It's only like 4.5 minutes long, and if you like it, great. If you don't, let me know in the comments and tell me I'm just as bad as the Giants this year. All joking aside, moving into this one, the 2-12 New York Giants. Not really much to say at this point. Everyone's kind of given up. People are hurt. I'm pretty sure Drew Lock is starting again this weekend, and he hasn't really had any success so far this season. Not to say that that will change, especially with Brian Dable, who has been calling the plays all season as well, and the offense has been historically bad. More recently, Runyon went on the IR, so more holes and lack of depth at the offensive line. And then you're really just looking at getting, Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Malik Neighbors involved and getting them the ball and just hoping that they could progress and continue to, one, stay healthy, two, progress in the right fashion to build some skills and just get used to their time in the NFL so far, because we're going to need them to be successful in the future. This is an interesting matchup for the Falcons, who last week benched Kirk Cousins and have been going with Michael Penix Jr. has been upgraded to be the starter this week, and the Falcons are currently 7-7, and they're not completely out of the playoff hunt for an NFC South team. I think the only other competition there is the Buccaneers, who might have close to a game or two, or they might have 7 or 8 wins. But I feel like when we played them a couple weeks ago, they only had like 4 or 5 or something. But yeah, you're looking at a must-win scenario for the Falcons, and it's going to be a tough fill for Michael Penix Jr. to come in. Again, as a reminder of who he is, he was drafted in the top 10 of this previous year's draft, which raised a lot of eyebrows because the Falcons, as inept of an organization as they are, decided to pay Kirk Cousins an astronomical amount of money over a 4-year time period when he was coming off of Achilles surgery. And, as the history has shown recently, especially for these older quarterbacks who aren't mobile enough to begin with and are coming off significant lower body injuries, throwing them a boatload of cash isn't necessarily the best way to go. So maybe the Falcons decided, hey, we'll do this to Kirk Cousins, which is, I guess, nice for him because he got one last final payday before he rides off into the sunset or as a backup somewhere and making more money. But it seems like Michael Penix Jr. is the future of this team. And again, a reminder of who he was. He was a standout quarterback at Washington when they played Michigan in the college football championship last year, and pretty solid game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Falcons kind of adjust their offense, to see how they'll use Penix moving forward. Obviously, I would assume he would be the guy next year, but it's good he'll be able to get some reps. And hey, maybe it's one of those things for him. If he plays really well right out the gate, they could land in the playoffs somehow. Probably would be a team you would want to play in early rounds because they aren't the most complete team. But again, they're going to see a lot of their face of the future for their franchise against the Giants. And this is probably a pretty good game to start in because the Giants have made pretty much every quarterback look decent so far, especially in the back half of this season, where we've lost about, I think I lost count, maybe 8 straight games. So pretty good team to put your rookie in to face, as it's a winnable game for him. You could dumb down your game plan, try to run the ball, and get a win, and you get to 8-7, and 2 weeks left, you could get into the playoffs there, 10-7 for sure. Again, the spread for this one is the Falcons are -9. I couldn't ever recommend betting on the Giants at this point, as they just don't have the firepower, and their defenses also seems just completely cooked and done, I was a little disappointed. I mean, really, the heart and soul of that defense, Dexter Lawrence, having his best season to date, and then he went down with that injury, and everyone else kind of checked out after that between Okereke. Kayvon came back, but he doesn't really do all too much. Burns is out there playing. He's making like the 4th highest paid defensive player in the league this year. So hopefully he plays and can, again, stay healthy and try to run it back next year when everyone is healthy and 100%, and they've had more time in the scheme. But a very unimpressive first-year coaching campaign from Bowen. And yeah, I wonder if he survives and sticks around, because I mean, the offense and the defense are so bad, but I don't know. I think there's egg on the face of all of these guys, and it doesn't seem like they're going to get rid of everyone. Just looking at the chatter around, the Giants and what people in the media are saying and putting out there, it seems like Dable might go because he was also in charge of calling the plays, but Joe Shane might stay, even though he built a pretty bad team. So I don't really know how that works out. If I was Brian Dable, and maybe behind closed doors, it doesn't even seem like that, because I would imagine people would be way more vocal in the standpoint of, hey, I did the best with what I was given, right? We decided to give Daniel Jones a shitload of money. He stunk. We decided to let Saquon walk and not meet him. Now he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year. So there's a lot of different ways this could have went, and I think there's egg on the face of all of them. I can't really pinpoint one person versus another, but just the nature of the game. And it seems like this is a very winnable game for the Falcons this week, and the Giants are racing towards that number 1 pick, and the only opponent in their way of getting that is really themselves. But here's the thing: if the Giants continue to keep doing what they have been doing, they should easily get that first overall pick. I just don't understand how you would bring back a coach who went like 2-15 or whatever to have faith in him to ever turn it around, especially after 6-11, I believe, last year. Then this year you're going to be 2-15 or 3-14 or 4-13. How do you even come back from that? And you would never have an above 500 record, or you would just never. It would be impossible to ever have, I don't know. I just don't see how a coach could come back and change it from there. But yeah, I guess we'll see, and time will tell there. So with that, we'll jump over to Reddit Mailbag. Dive it into Reddit Mailbag here. We have our first footage of Malik Neighbors having a catch with Shedeur Sanders in New York City. Yeah, I believe Shedeur was in town for the Heisman with his teammate and good friend Travis Hunter, winning that the previous weekend. Yeah, I mean, Dion and Prime and the whole posse and everything you want to talk about, they are very good at using the media to get what they want. If Dion keeps talking about his son going first overall and keeps pushing into the media, I think at this point in time, there's a very strong chance for that to happen. If the Giants are there, I wonder if they would take the leap of faith on Shedeur Sanders. Me personally, I really don't think him or Cam Ward are really that good. I don't think any of these quarterbacks in this draft are that good. But the thing is, Brian Dable and Joe Shane, if they're still around, who's ever here has to kind of take a quarterback or come with a scenario where whoever you get as a bridge, I don't know. They have to take a quarterback. Every time I think about it, it makes no sense why how they could get around it with a bridge guy, because then you're just being like, oh, you're still building up the team, and then you're going to pay a quarterback through free agency that's going to cost a bundle of money. And then what quarterback plays this style of offense that Brian Dable pushes? And honestly, the more I talk about it, I don't think Brian Dable is very good. But Okay, getting to getting to be the sad Giants fan on TV at the end of the game is not what I want. Yeah, this is probably why a lot of people don't go to the games anymore. Today's message, Mr. Mara, enough is enough. We talked about that last week. Deion Sanders refutes reports that his son would refuse to play for the Giants. A lie. Don't care who tells it. Please stop trying to become relevant by misrepresenting my son. God bless you. You know, I don't know. Maybe this could be someone just that is friends. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial here, but this could be someone in their camp that's like puts a bullshit tweet or thing out there and he gets to respond to it and saying like, of course we want to play for the Giants. It's manipulating the media. Dion is one of the best to do it over the last decade, to his own benefit, and a lot of people love him for it. Bobby Skinner of Talking Giants' latest episode explains that the Giants PR team called Bobby to take down his YouTube video explaining why Joe Shane should be fired. I reread this, so let me just talk about Talking Giants quickly because I have the utmost respect for them, and I think Bobby and Justin do an amazing job. I would like to enjoy more of their content, but since starting this creative, I don't really watch them as much or really any of the other Giants content creators because I don't want it to sound ever like I'm stealing other ideas or opinions from other people. But again, I have the highest praise for them. They're absolutely living the dream. They're getting paid a salary to talk about their favorite sports team. What's better than that? Kudos to them. I hope they could take it all the way to the top and continue to live their dream or goal. Now, with that here, I think it's a little bit interesting because, and I think I actually read some of the comments on this one where Bobby did clarify in the beginning that they didn't tell him to take the video down or something. Regardless, if any of this is true, it's kind of absolutely pathetic by the Giants front office and organization and PR team. And I wonder if it's this happens more to folks in the media, especially like traditional print media, like the Daily News, the New York Post, stuff along those lines. Newsday, Tom Rock from Newsday. If they go after those, I don't think they would ever decredential anyone, and I don't think that would really apply to Bobby as well. Maybe they did, but I think Bobby would be extremely successful, and Justin too, if they were to continue to put out the best content that they could, regardless of if the Giants approved of it or not. And I might be wrong. I don't think I've seen them do sit down interviews with Giants front office staff that are currently there, and I could be completely wrong there. But I don't think even anything, any sort of publicity is bad publicity. And if that's true and they were to lose their credentials in a positive way, I think that would be better for them to be completely, and I think they are completely objective in, the way that they talk about this team because they love the team just as much as me, just as much as you and anyone else. So, yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say there is definitely check them out. They do an amazing job, paid full time to dive into all the X's and O's, and they put out a lot of good content. So definitely recommend them and the best for their future. Deion Sanders says here that the Giants are not giving up that number one pick. I know for a fact, and Shador is going to be the number one pick. Sounds like he fully expects his son to be the next Giants quarterback if they lose out. Again, I think master manipulator of the media for his advantage. It's not like you even are able to hear any of this stuff from Cam Ward's camp or Travis. I mean, Deion does pump up Travis Hunter, obviously, because he coached him for a number of years and he has an extreme loyalty to him. But now it's time for Shador to be the number one pick and the talk of the town. And this is just what happens when Deion Sanders is your father. And does it seem like it's going to come with a lot? I think, regardless, Giants aside, whoever drafts Shador Sanders is going to have their first taste of possibly what like an AAU style program would look like coming to fruition in the real professional world, where parents are really pushing agendas and what is right and wrong and really pushing their thoughts as well. And again, we've seen this from time to time, right? Eli's father telling him he's not going to the San Diego Chargers, and then he goes to the Giants, which doesn't really get talked about enough when guys just say, like, no, I'm not playing there. Like, you have to trade me. And I'm surprised more guys at the top don't do that, especially when you're drafted by, like, the Browns or something. Not to say that we're too far away from there at this point. And I was thinking about someone else, a father figure like Odell's dad kind of shit-talked Baker Mayfield that time, and that kind of led to Baker getting traded and pushed out of Cleveland, and Odell went up in flames as well. So just bizarre situation when parents, especially one like Deion Sanders, are heavily influential in the media. The Giants fall 35-14. The Ravens cover the largest spread of the season easily. The Giants are now at 12-2, 0-8 at home, and have lost 9 in a row. And the plane has called for John Mayer to fire everyone and blow it up the last 2 weeks. Pretty brutal. 9 in a row is as bad as it gets. We talked about Eli on the subway last weekend. Let's see if there's anything else here. We'll touch on these last 2 things and then go on from there. Or these last 3. So Cam Ward, I'm potentially coming here, would be good. A team to take a chance on me in the draft. That's all I really need. Put the ball in my hands, see what he could do. Okay. It's like, what is he supposed to say? It's not very exciting, especially considering what Deion is saying for his 2 guys. That could be 1 or 2 or 3 and right up there. Jordan Renan, just watched the Giants struggle badly at practice during a red zone drill in the cold and heavy winds. All 17 passes went incomplete. Literally insane. I think I've played on some pretty shitty teams. 17 passes incomplete is insane. All 17. So saying all is every single one. How is that possible? I mean, none of those quarterbacks could come back next year. And I would heavily think and consider the wide receivers as well. So the Giants 2-12 finished the last game with Tim Boyle, which was disaster. Raiders are 2-11 with Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder actually doesn't seem as bad as any of the other guys the Giants started. Sounds like the Browns 3-11 are done starting Jameis Winston, and the Titans are looking elsewhere besides with Levis. Interesting race to the bottom. Yep, it will be certainly an interesting race to the bottom, and the Giants will be right there for it if they continue to keep doing what they're doing, which would be getting a number 1 draft pick and probably firing your coach. Anyway, thanks for watching.